Well, the sun's finally come out after an extremely wet morning, and I'm in a bit of pine woodland not far from Clumber. And I'm going to sort of head towards an area that they call Carburton Border. Just have a wander. If I find anything, all well and good. But it's lovely now in the sunshine. Now this is an area of woodland I've only ever been in once, walking down here. Technically it's sort of private, if you take any notice of the notices. But people do come walking in here. Quite a few sweet chestnuts as you first enter this bit of forest. In fact, I can see a mountain biker coming. Oh, the latter is running very fast. Oh, it'll be a grumpy mountain biker. So, I'm going to have a walk down there towards him. It's a bit too wet to look for most things, but if it does dry out in the next half hour or so, I'll come back to this bit, because there's a lot of hypericum, or St John's wort, which is the food plant or the host plant for a couple of Chrysalinas, notably Chrysalina hyperici and Chrysalina brunswichensis, which has just been found in Nottinghamshire for the first time, probably in about 100 years, after review from the other week when it was found near, well, in Blidus Woods. And then the same observer found it near Thinghow, which is not far from Clipston Old Quarter area. It's actually more Hanger Hill Plantation. And there's one key denominator in the two sites, and that they're both pine woodland. So this hypericum directly in front of me on the side of the track here is obviously going to be well worth a look. But unfortunately, everywhere is absolutely drenched. But we can but have a look if it dries out. I think trees in autumn colour are many photographers' favourite subject, especially if you're a landscape photographer, I suppose. And of course this time of year you have to photograph it or film it. It's the most obvious aspect of nature that's about you in autumn. And who doesn't like to see trees where the leaves are a golden orange yellow, as on these two beeches actually, which are isolated amongst what look to be Douglas fir. Magnificent. Everyone must like autumn colour. And you think about it, it's a glorious way to end a season and to go out on in a blaze of glory like this. You've got to love autumn, you know. much of this area of forest is shortly to be felled. And on a recent video I talked about the benefits of commercial pine forestry, but when you look at these stands of pines, this is the bad side of commercial forestry. I'll show you what I mean. When your pine plantations have grown without being thinned, they pretty much become monocultures, especially underneath the canopy. Obviously the canopy is going to support a range of pine feeding invertebrates. Underneath the canopy on the forest floor, throughout this woodland, you've got one large carpet of bramble and in parts bracken, which doesn't create the ideal habitat for a wide range of invertebrates, and only shade-loving species can tolerate these conditions. But pine woodland and pine forestry can be great if it's opened up, but unfortunately commercial forestry doesn't open up the plantations, and it is a crop, as I've said before, so you don't expect them to, but it is not the best of habitats. It looks better now we've got a bit of sun on it, but you can walk through pine forestry admittedly and see very little, especially at the end of October after a cooler rainy morning. But we'll go a bit further and see how the landscape changes. And after the rather dull and dark nature of the pines, we suddenly come to this. A bit more colourful. And it's mostly sweet chestnuts. Oh, there's an ash there, I don't know what that's doing there. And some, what I think are turkey oaks. But I'm just going to have a nosy through there where it's been cleared and see what kind of habitat that looks like now. But this is all new to me. But now the sun's coming out, I've got to show you that. And that's a mature, I'm pretty sure it's turkey oak. It's a really large leaved oak, but the colour is magnificent. If you like your autumn colour, you're in the right place. You found the right place on YouTube. Well, someone's nicked my sunshine. Didn't realise it was such a rough area. The sunlight coming through the trees here is just absolutely phenomenal. It's truly beautiful. With the sunlight and the shadows cast by the trunks of the trees, the autumn colour, what's not to like about that? we'll continue to walk up there. And this shot encompasses the three things I really like in a place. Beautiful colours, peace and quiet, and no people. Haven't seen a soul. Obviously the private keep out sign works. Mostly. Beautiful that. Two magnificent beaches that have been left after the area behind it has been cleared for. There's a few other beaches as well, but it's that silvery grey colour of the beach trunks coupled with the autumn colour on the remaining leaves. It's beautiful. And a nice sky behind it with a few different shaded clouds. Another site where the nuthatches are vocal. And a tit flock as well, just going through. The calls that you can hear are the typical calls of a long-tailed tit flock as they move through. But with long-tailed tits come all the species, not the buzzard like the one that's overhead at the moment. I've never seen a buzzard in with a tit flock before. But as a bird at this time of year, at Eakring or at Kingsmill Res, when I used to patch watch there, you got excited when you found a tit flock or a tit flock came through, because of potential other goodies that could be with them. Warblers, or especially rare warblers. Firecrest was one. Marsh tit was one actually, especially at Kingsmill Res. There was always that potential for the rarity with a tit flock. So not only have we got a glorious day of autumn colour, I'll leave you to the accompanying sound of the forest's foragers. Well, I'm going to start and head back. I've come far enough. It's going to be a bit sad walking back, purely because I've got to walk back through so much dull coniferous plantation and leave this autumn colour behind. But this really has turned out to be an absolutely beautiful hour, and I didn't think it would. See, just when you think you know how something's going to be, nature always makes you think again and proves you wrong. And that's happened many times. And you think you know a place, all of a sudden something turns up. Cry, didn't expect that. And today I didn't expect this amount of autumn colour. It's been a beauty.